Hello there. This is Anthony Vincent Bova. Pleasure to meet you. Pleasure to say hello. Um, this live stream is fascinating to me because I'm so used to engaging people and working with them and getting into them. But here we are, and it's going to be a short 30 minutes. What do I mean by a short 30 minutes? I'm going to go through a presentation on this exciting topic of how to keep senior experts engaged in your presentation. And then we're going to go into a Q&A. And afterwards, if this excites you to the point it stimulates a thought, curiosity, something, feel free to send me a message, LinkedIn, Facebook, and we'll talk. So as we start, I'd like to start with this topic. This is an interesting topic. Why is it interesting to me? Because so many people have come to me with this issue. You wouldn't think it would be such a big deal, but it is. And I'm going to go through the presentation now. Let me upload this. There we go. So quickly, this is going to be what we're going to go through today. I actually added one or two things. It's not in here. Now, I just want to put something out. What's going to happen is this. I'm going to put out information here, a dot here, a dot here, a dot here, and I'm going to eventually connect them. So at some point, you might see me digress or go somewhere. I'm going to connect the dots all in about 15 minutes. All the dots will be connected. So as we go through this, I want to start the introduction, a little background. Who am I? Where do I come from? What are my credentials? And so on. I've been an acting coach for over 3 decades. And I've been studying and working in a very, very specific system in the acting field, which actually trains the actor how not to act, not how to act. I've been executives have flocked to my classes before I had a division, because they have found that when they came to my class as, in quotes, actors, that how much it helped them in their business. That inspired me to create a division for business professionals. Over the last half a dozen or so years, I've been really narrowing my focus with business professionals, and it's been with highly technical and analytical professionals is where I've been focusing so much of my energy. Why? Is because the principles I always teach and I always talk about, and you're going to see some of them today, are not exclusive to technical and analytical professionals. However, it's with technical, highly technical and analytical professionals is where there's the biggest deficit in some of the areas I'm going to cover. All right. I know that wasn't a full introduction, but just to give you a little background on this. Why? Why would you be asked to present when your manager, your boss, experts that have perhaps steeped in your subject much longer than you have for a much longer time? Why? Why would you be asked? And I've had the pleasure of working on both sides of this. I've worked with the with C-suite quite a bit. And I also work with middle management, junior, and so on. I work with throughout the organization. And what you see here, I'm not going to read them all to you here, but this is mostly of what they've said to me. Not many have said the last one. They don't fully know. Everyone says they fully know. But I want to bring your awareness to something. All right, you know what? I'm going to come back to this in a bit. I'm going to go to the next one now, and I'll explain where I'm trying to go with this. Now, I'll go to the next one now. Now, that's from I'll call it management powers that be. This is from the presenters. These are the people that come to me. This is what inspired me to create this talk, this little thing here, this 30-minute in and out on this topic. So many times I'll have a technical or a technical person, an engineer, let's say, come to me and they're like, they feel these things. Why? Because they're saying, why am I presenting? Why did they ask me to? They know more than I do, and they get self-conscious because they're the ones that many times know the least about the topic in the room that's presenting on the topic. And I'm going to just go backwards for a second back to this one. I'm going to get it larger. Let me see. How do I get this thing larger? There we go. Between that and this is where the complications come. Why? Because sometimes they'll say, well, we have our eye on you for, bigger and better things. Perhaps we're watching your progress and all of that sort of thing. It could be true. And when it's true, that's great to know, right? Sometimes it's just simply not true. Sometimes you're just a better communicator than they are, and they don't want to get in the spotlight. They want to sit back, and they want this presentation to go as successful as it can go. And they believe on some level, if they don't take the lead and you take the lead, it will simply be a better experience. So just keep in mind that as we go forward here, you see these two things? This is where the problem is, when there's not full transparency. When there's not full transparency with your managers, or again, whoever said you have to do this presentation. And many times this is what is experienced by the presenter. This could all be avoided. This is not necessary. Even when the manager is not fully transparent, and I'll explain. Remember I said there'll be a dot here, a dot here, a dot here, a dot here, and I'll put them together. Well, I'm going to digress now, go off the map, and I'm going to talk about technical and analytical communication challenges. They basically are broken down into two areas: the experiential and the psychological. Experiential is what your ability to express, experience, your ability to open your heart, close your heart, warmly engage, or coldly, in a cold way, ice yourself from your audience. This is experiential. The psychological is the mindset that many times, most of the times, I think probably all the time, is the impetus for the experiential. For example, if you have a mindset of, well, I'm not that good. If you come in with this thing, wow, I'm intimidated, annoyed, I'm really nervous, man, I'm reluctant. If you're coming in with that, you see, that's the psychological. The expression of that is experiential. Now, this is important, man. This is important. I'll tell you why. Because just understanding these different areas will help you deconstruct your presentations. It'll help you understand when you're on, why you're on, when you're not, why you're not. And I'll get to that later. So in this situation here, we have engagement in presentation, right? It's basically broken down to experiential and psychological. These are the two. But let's talk about now which ones is the primary ones on how to keep senior experts engaged in your presentation. I think I gave it away. It's mostly psychological. I'm not even addressing the experiential today. I'm not even addressing it. I'm not even getting in there. Usually I have a demo, someone who's demonstrating, and we go and I'll facilitate them. You'll see behavioral transformation unfold right in front of your eyes. I'm not touching that today. I'm not doing it. What I'm doing, though, is getting into where the communication challenges start in this topic, in this very unique topic. Where do they start? And so it's really a psychological, it's a mindset. Think of it in terms of that. Now, here's one of my other dots. Okay. I want to talk about musical theater for a moment. You're like, oh my God, no segue, no anything. There you are talking about musical theater. What is, like, how on earth is this going to connect? And I'll tell you, we'll get to it. Musicals, at least I'm in New York. And, if I'm going to go see Music Man, Hamilton, it's expensive. The tickets are not $39 to see those shows. They're maybe $339, right? So if you go with two people, you're looking at $700 more or less before the parking lot, before dinner, before buying a bottled water at the theater if you're thirsty. All right, so it's a lot of money, right? Now, there's been some research with theater goers that really love musicals, that like to go to musicals. And you know what they say? Don't quote me. It's an old one. I'm trying to remember it exactly. But basically, it goes like this. They really are happy if 30 seconds out of that whole show that moves them, that really moves them, or a moment that just takes them, that transports them, and it's not 2.5 hours worth that they think they want 2.5 hours worth, but they come out usually happy if they just get that thing, that moment. Let me give you a good example. Cats. All right. Now, I don't know if you know of Cats, if you don't, but here's the thing. For very good reason, there's a lot of people that love that musical. It's a dancer's show. It's a spectacle. It's spectacular dancing. It's just something pretty amazing. And there's also good reason why people don't like the show. There's not really much of a book. So some people say, Anthony, I liked it, but after around 40 minutes of watching cats dance with no book, it bored me. It got me. Like, I didn't want to deal with it anymore. So there's good reasons for people to love it and people not to like it. But at the end of that show, there's this one song. It's called Memory. I don't know anyone who doesn't love that song. Now, love it, hate it, everyone loves that moment of memory. And I believe it's probably the sole reason why it lasted so long, in the quotes, now and forever, right? Is because of that last song. And if you have a good Grizabella, that's the name of the cat that sings that song, is everyone standing at the end crying, and they're, all these emotions are coming out. So you could not like the song, but really fall in love with memory. So where am I going? What does this have to do with you? It has everything to do with you. And it has everything to do with your technical and analytical presentation. When you're delivering it in front of people that know about your subject much more than you do. The metrics, they know. They know the metrics. The technology, they know. The technology's the technology. The analytics, they know. They know it. So if you go into fact mode and you say, these are the analytics, and it's called a fallback place. If you fall back and just give boom, 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 it's not an exciting meeting for them. They know that. They know it probably better than you if they are the experts that are higher on the senior experts and you're not. But what they don't have and what no one has is you. It's your perspective. It's your values. It's your take on things, your view. Now you say, well, what do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? That's where it's unique. That's where it's different. Now, it's just not about your perspective, your values, your view of the topic. And I'll explain it. You see this? When you, and I'm looking at this top thing here on the left, your desire to engage your audience with your perspective on the topic, your values, and your view. Now, this is, I got to tell you, if I'm going to stop this right now and I say, what's my one thing I hope you take away? And if I had the power to have a magic wand to go, there's your takeaway, right? This is really it. This is it. Look at it here. I'm going to break down the science. All right. This is a science. It's not just being, excited about something and hope that they'll like it. The science is this: your engagement, your desire to engage your audience with right there. You're looking outside of yourself and you're looking at helping your audience. That alone, that selfless involvement of focusing your attention on them is step number one. All right. You see that diffuses your confusion, intimidation, annoyed, fearful, all this stuff, all the middle. It diffuses it. It could even eliminate it. Why? Because the feelings in that middle column there, in the middle, come from focusing on yourself. It's the head trash, the psychology stuff, focusing on yourself. But if you are really determined to focus on your audience and get into them and looking at them as if they really need this new perspective, your values meaning what are your beliefs related to this topic, this product, the service, whatever you're talking about. And really, what's your view? What's your view on it all? Yeah. That's right, Mitch. It's the head trash. There you go. I just got a little technical thing that the live feed stopped. No? Okay, we're going to keep going. So here we are with that. Right, Matt, Mitch, you're right on it. You're right on it. So that desire to connect to your audience right there takes away that middle column, you see? Now, and in turn, it turns your presentation to people that know much more than you into engagement, credibility, purpose. I'm going to repeat. I don't normally repeat everything verbatim on my PowerPoints, but mission fulfillment. Let's look at that. You know why I say mission fulfillment? When you're speaking from your value set, that's linked to mission fulfillment. If not 100% of the time, 99% of the time. If you stay on facts alone, it does not necessarily translate to mission fulfillment. And this is where some very important information that you might say, if you're one of these people, yes, they already know. This is where a huge opportunity is lost. You can't lose it. Can't lose it. You know why? There's nothing more. I get all excited about this stuff. There's nothing more beautiful, more impactful than the authenticity of you. There's no stat. There's no metric. There's nothing there that can substitute you. And when you bring that in and you focus on engaging your audience with that, that's the takeaway of today. That's the takeaway of today. So tell me, just give me a yes or a no before we go into Q&A. Did this make sense? And I'm wondering, did it make sense, this whole this concept, this way of looking at it? From White Dacha. Good. I'm glad. All right. Now I'm going to open this up at this point. Does anyone have any questions about what we talked about, what I presented today? Any thoughts, any ideas, anything? And as I'm waiting here, I will take a moment and reflect on a couple of things that I presented, which is don't hide behind information. Don't hide behind the data. Don't hide behind metrics. Don't hide behind technology. And I say that because it's you. You are the one. LinkedIn user, yes, it works. Good. Because remember, again, especially as it relates to, they know the information already. They know the information already. They've got the facts. They don't got you. They don't have your perspective. They don't know your belief system, your values connected to it. That's always refreshing. So any questions before we close it off for today? All right. How do you do that? How do you remove the head trash? Well, great question. It's not 1, 2, 3, and it's as simple as that. It depends what the head trash is, and it depends who you are. And it depends also how long you've been subscribing to the head trash. For example, you ready? This is I'm just thinking off the top of my head. If you have come from a belief system that, oh my God, I'm not a good speaker. I'm not a good speaker. I always hate speaking, right? You're basically giving offsprings to these thoughts over the course of years. And as long as you're giving offspring, you know what I mean? You're populating the thought inside of you over the course of years. It's going to take more work for you to bring your ego up, turn it around, and turn that around. But I could always say this. So to answer it exactly, I can't. But I will tell you this: all roads to me in connecting in any kind of meaningful way is not bringing the topic back to you. It's just focusing on your client, focusing on your audience, on your prospect, on the person in trouble. And another thing, if you take an attitude, whether it's true or not, I'm doing it today. I'm not even sure who's on this stream. Who's on this live stream might be this top professional who knows everything I'm saying. But you know what my attitude is? My attitude is that you need it. You need this information, not because in any egotistical way, but saying it to myself, you need this information, allows me to not think about me, but think about you. Just getting into the mindset that this is going to help you if you follow it. Just that psychology, just the psychology alone helps me go, oh my God, how did I do today? How does this look on my bald head? Oh my head. You see what I mean, right? If I start focusing there, I'm done. I'm done. So the outer involvement is always, I just say that to you because to really answer it in a deep way, I can't, in a substantive way, I can't, but to give you a little kernel to build on, it's always that. All right. Let me see. Mitch, how does someone develop the moment that captivates an audience of senior experts? Mitch, man, you know how I feel about you. You rock. And I'm going to try to Let me start talking about what are the obstacles to that. All right. Once I could tell you the obstacles, then I think we could turn into the solution. The obstacles usually come when the presenter is trying to get everything a 10, right? But you've done you, meaning the presenter, has usually done their homework on what I call on all the hard skills. They're not really all hard skills, but the things you have control over, the organization, the PowerPoint, not reading every PowerPoint verbatim, and all, proofreading it, blah 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 blah. Right? You have control of all that. And if you try to hit a 10 on everything that they already know, they're going to come out with nothing, as I've been saying, or very little, except that you know the facts. The question now is, how does someone create? My advice is to really look at how you feel towards the subject. I feel passionate towards this subject. I love the nuances of where communication blocks are. I get fascinated over this. I get fascinated over helping people with their solutions. Now, what is that thing that your value, your belief system about the subject? And then how can you make that the one takeaway? Meaning, what is it? Is it a story? Is it the cat's story? Is it, I don't want to just say tell a story, because so many people say that, and I don't know what that means. Because if you tell a story from a self-conscious state, then it doesn't do anything, So what I'm getting at is the how becomes on what is your unique values, always connected to that. What is your unique perspective? I'm going to talk to Mitch right now, since he asked that question. That's what attracted me to Mitch when I met him when I was giving a presentation at UTC, Utilities Technology Council. And I watched Mitch, this gentleman who just asked this question. And I looked at him and I'm like, wow, his perspective about everything he was doing from the organ. He was a very big part of a very big convention. And then I watched how people started to interact with them. And I watched everyone I'd be like this in the sidelines, like, because I observe this stuff. That's what I do. That's my thing. I observe. Everyone that came into contact with Mitch walked away much better than they were from before they walked up to him, right? They walked away with something. Now, Mitch, I think you know the answer because you've been living it, all right? And that is that authentic core of you that you don't apologize for. That's gorgeous. That is beautiful stuff. And that authentic core of you that you have to learn never to apologize for that. When you connect that to your product, to your message, I'm sorry, I don't know if it's a product, but to your message, to your subject, and your belief system with a fierce need to engage your audience in that. That's where that moment comes from. Oh no, I'm out of time. Anyone, small group leaders, egotistical and argumentative. Mike, I'd love to get into this. I'm going to touch on this, only touch on this with a very broad brush, only because of time. Yeah, some group leaders are egotistical and argumentative, and it does add a lot of difficulty because I always use the symbol of you. So many times you need a vaulting stick to get over the ego to get to the message of someone. And that's always exhausting. Now, how to deal with that is tough to really say in 30 seconds. I'm sorry. You know why? Because each, I'm going to go to sports on this. I'm going to have to, because it's the quickest analogy I could think of at the moment. In sports, if you have, like, the New York Yankees, let's say, they got these huge stars, like, Aaron Judge, and, these very, 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 very big stars. Some of them come with huge, huge egos, and they're making a lot more money than the coach. A lot more money than the coach. And what I've heard the coaches say is that you got to deal with everyone in the way and what they need. Some people need tough love, even if they're making more money, to bring them down. Other people need a little caressing to say, you're okay, it's okay, it's all right, it's okay. Other people need to be ignored. And that is something, that's a skill that one has to develop. And I wish I can give you a black and white to that, just like boom, boom, boom. But we are over time, and this is very exciting for this live stream. This is my second one, and I'm still grappling with the technical stuff, but I'm digging this. And oh, by the way, you see Mitch? I'm interviewing Mitch on Tuesday. I'm going to post the live stream link on Tuesday. If you want to see something that rocks, there he is. This is Mitch. Look at this guy. I'm going to spotlight on him. It's going to be Tuesday, and very soon, within the hour or so, this is going to be, it's going to have its own link. So come and watch him talk, speaking about great communication with real authenticity. This guy is got it. And here we go. Talk to me. I teach weekly classes in this, very small groups, very high individual attention. We go through the nuances of the communication challenges, the nuances of what stops your message from really connecting and making an impact. I think that's it for today. Thank you, Mitch. That's it. All right, everyone. I appreciate you coming in. I hope you got something from today. Send me a message if you want to talk. I'll be happy to talk to you. Blessings to all. Take care.